And it's kind of funny, the storytelling, you're used to relating to the protagonist, but you find yourself relating more to Cameron than anybody else in the movie. And the thing is with Ferris Bueller is that this escapism concept is actually one of the other things that stands out about this movie is Hi guys, my name is Zadie and you are watching my channel Flytte Kartina. Today we're going to be talking about Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I've decided to revive this series a little bit more. I started out, again, the revival with Marriage Story, so if you haven't watched that, go ahead and check that out. But I have so many more videos that have my reactions to movies that I've never watched, like Titanic. I've never seen Titanic before, then I watched it a couple years ago and those are my thoughts. It's kind of a fun video. So I have never watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off until recently and I was completely taken aback. I really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to, and a couple of the scenes were hilarious, and I recognize iconic lines from the script and things that they said and things that they did. It was so fun. It was like an entirely new cultural experience that I had not experienced before. I had to look up this movie because I was like, what year was this made in? And then it made sense to me and clicked that it's a classic 80s movie. So obviously it's really good. The 80s were a great time for movies. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is literally just about a guy getting away with everything. The movie starts out with everybody against Ferris, like everybody, except for the ignorant ones, i.e. his parents. And then the movie ends with some of the characters turning around their opinion. For example, Ferris's sister. A lot of this movie was very understanding of the teenage predicament and the situation that a lot of teenagers are in when they're in high school. Especially when you're graduating. A lot of graduates don't act like Ferris Bueller, for obvious reasons, because of the stress and pressure and expectations that people put on graduating seniors out of high school. Because whether you like it or not, your entire life is starting after high school, and you know, it's gonna be work from then on. John Hughes is also a genius when it comes to making these kinds of films, because if you've seen his reel, it's amazing. It's kind of genius how Ferris is the proponent to everybody else's character development. Usually it's the protagonist who has the most character development in a story, at least that's what we've been seeing a lot today. But Ferris is the plot point that drives everybody else to develop as a character or change as a person. Jenny, his sister, for example, changes completely from hating Ferris and understanding that what he's doing is to get out of school, but then at the end understanding that he's still a kid and that she should just let loose once in a while, to Cameron, who starts out as this very unsure person who wasn't really going anywhere and just sitting under his parents' roof doing nothing, to this more self-confident person in himself who takes responsibility for things and knows what he wants and gets more out of life than what he was getting out before. It's genius. I think that's the beauty of 80s movies, is that the protagonists do not change, but the entire world that is surrounding them does change. And change. If you're not subscribed to my channel, I really think you should change your opinion on that and subscribe to my channel, because I've got a lot of fun stuff planned for the future. I am posting every other week until I get my schedule under control, but I have some really exciting stuff coming out and stuff that you should watch definitely that I've posted in the past. So do me a favor and help me out with the algorithm by subscribing to my channel, liking this video, and then comment down below what you think is so great about Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Think of Marty McFly from Back to the Future. He doesn't change. He's just a guy trying to get back to his own timeline, but everybody else, because of the changes he made in the past, have changed. He comes back to a home that's insanely better than what he had before. He comes back home to an entire truck that is now his, and the person who bullied his father is now his dad's worker, like his employee. And what's also fun about this movie is that I genuinely enjoyed this movie's run. I didn't want it to be over, but like when it did, I was satisfied with it, and I was rooting for Ferris the entire time. But what exactly is so great about Ferris Bueller's Day Off, other than the stuff that I already mentioned? And it's kind of already what I mentioned, but I'm just gonna go a little bit deeper into what I've talked about before. The genius of Ferris Bueller's Day Off and why so many people like it is for one obvious reason: it's an escapism fantasy. Escapism is what it sounds like. It's an escape from the daily, regular routine of life. It's something that everybody would love to do, but probably can't at the moment. For me, if I'm working a 9-to-5 job at a grocery store doing the same thing and repackaging and restocking the same bakery aisle every single day, I want some kind of fantasy to get excited about, something that I could potentially do if I really put my mind to it. The actual definition that of escapism that a lot of people use is that you escape the boring aspects of life. So if you're doing the same like staple, sign, like that kind of paperwork sort of routine, then you want to escape it. And what if all of a sudden in your office, a giant dinosaur came into your office and destroyed the entire place and ate your boss? Now what are you gonna do? You're gonna get the gun that you so conveniently have at the bottom of your desk drawer and shoot that thing. That doesn't sound like a bad idea for a movie, but I feel like we shouldn't make that kind of movie. Escapism has always been something that has been a part of daily life. That's why, you know, in the ancient times with the Greeks, they created stories of myths of gods and heroes and monsters and giant, huge beasts that people, like regular people or demigods, can overcome. Escapism has always been some sort of, it's just a fantasy that we would all be like, yes, if I was this person in this situation, I would totally do the same thing. But you know, it's a fantasy. It's a reality that we usually cannot attain. And in the Great Depression, a lot of people didn't want to think about what was happening to them financially and economically and emotionally. Most people were out on the street or literally searching the trash for food. So if you wanted entertainment, or from, say for instance, Life magazine, you would look for something that's not in your reality so that you can have some sort of escape to relieve yourself from the burden of what is actually reality around you. It's a temporary relievement from the permanent situation of reality. I was reading about escapism and somebody mentioned that Sigmund Freud was an advocate for escapism because it was a basic human necessity. I don't know if I believe that, but it is really nice to escape from your own reality and just take a breath and say, oh, just do the what if game and imagine. Use your imagination and see it play out on screen like that. And the thing is with Ferris Bueller is that this escapism concept is actually attainable. None of what he does involves superpowers or time machines or dinosaurs coming into your office. There's nothing wrong with those scenarios, it's just that they're not attainable in reality. And for a teenager, most of the things that he does is actually attainable. If you have enough confidence and determination to do it, then you probably can get away with a lot of the things that he also got away with. Obviously, since that movie's come out, I'm pretty sure nobody believes any of the tricks that he used. Maybe, possibly. It's possible that some people do. But Ferris Bueller's Day of Escapism, a reality that a lot of people could attain if they really put their minds to it. And that's what makes this movie so enjoyable and fun, because these things are actually attainable and you're just laughing and in awe of, oh my goodness, he actually got away with it. This movie was also very much ahead of its time. It combined at least 3 different genres of things. It combined a musical with a comedy and also a drama, all wrapped up in the package of a teenager movie. In the 80s too. Like what? Because most movies are like, oh yeah, they're film noir movies, they're detective movies, or they're romance movies. They're only about romance, they're not about anything else. But this movie covers a lot of different genres. A lot of teen movies are actually set when the protagonist is from adulthood looking back on teenage years, and then those movies will then dismiss those issues that they went through, saying that it was just a phase or just something that they had to get through to get to that point or something. But no, it takes these issues seriously and has these characters experience them in real time. It's completely in the teen's perspective, which is different from a lot of things, and now that's why we have movies that are coming of age movies set in the teenager's mind because of this movie. One of the other things that stands out about this movie is that the dialogue is so snappy and quick and witty. It's everything a teenager would say, but better, to the highest quality. Like, think of the best conversation that you had when you were a teenager times 1,000. And you see the realism of these characters, but also just how genius the writing is. And it's kind of funny, the storytelling, you're used to relating to the protagonist, but you find yourself relating more to Cameron than anybody else in the movie. You're not relating to Ferris, you're relating to Cameron. And Ferris is that plot point that drives Cameron to understand more about himself and face his and confront his absent father. Just things like that. genius. Everything from the psychological aspect of making a movie to the storytelling to visually how you tell it, and then just putting that all out and having somebody have fun in front of the camera, and just it's amazing what you can do with these kinds of movies. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great random Thursday. I will see you on the other side of the screen.